Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Katie Pelton, and I'm with KKTV 11 News, and I just want to welcome you all for joining us in this breakfast this morning. KKTV 11 News is, of course, a proud Olympic spirit sponsor of Peak Vista's 13th annual Breakfast of Champions. I'm so glad to be here with you all to support such a great cause and to support the patients and programs of Peak Vista Community Health Centers. I'd like to welcome this year's Breakfast of Champions presenting sponsor, the Executive Vice President of El Pomar Foundation and Chair of Peak Vista's Board of Directors, Matt Carpenter, and Executive Vice President of Strategic Financial Partners and Chair of Peak Vista's Foundation Board of Directors, Bob Book.
Welcome. Good morning. Thank you for joining us for Peak Vista's 13th annual Breakfast of Champions. Again, my name is Matt Carpenter, and I serve as the chair of Peak Vista's Board of Directors.
Good morning. I'm Bob Book with Strategic Financial Partners, and I'm chair of the Peak Vista Foundation Board. Good morning.
On behalf of the boards of Peak Vista and their staff, we would like to take this brief time to recognize some of our special guests with us today. Peak Vista is very fortunate to have a group of volunteer healthcare professionals that provide specialty services with our patients when the need is outside the scope of primary care. Will all of our volunteer healthcare professionals that are with us this morning please stand to be recognized? Thank you very much for all that you do for our patients.
We'd also like to recognize all of the volunteers that serve on the board for Peak Vista and also the Peak Vista Foundation Board and or have served. So anybody that's on the boards, would you please stand and be recognized? Thank you for all the work that you do. Our program will begin shortly. Thank you.
Please enjoy your breakfast.
Knowing is the first step. Knowing is confidence. It's a roadmap that shows you exactly where you need to go. At Quest Diagnostics, we're in the business of knowing where to look and what to look for, giving doctors more insight to help everyone make more informed decisions. When it comes to health, knowing is everything. Quest Diagnostics. Good health starts with knowing.
Hi, everyone. I hope you're all enjoying your breakfast. It is delicious. I love it here. Now we'd like to welcome some of our elected officials who support Peak Vista and have joined us this morning. Mayor and First Lady John and Janet Suthers. State Representative Thomas E. Exum, Sr. City Council members Yolanda Avila, Andy Pico, and Tom Strand. El Paso County District Commissioners Darrell Glenn, Mark Waller, Stan Vanderwerf, Lojinos Gonzalez Jr. Board of Regents for the University of Colorado Springs, Kyle Hebel and his wife Sally. Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of El Pomar Foundation, William Hibble, and his wife, Kathy. Fountain City Council member Greg Lauer. Lyman Town Manager Dave Stone. And from Congressman Doug Lamborn's office, Dale Anderson, Darlene Carpio, and Dean Miller. Thank you all so much for being here this morning and taking time out of your busy days. KKTV 11 News is excited to be one of this year's Olympic Spirit sponsors. And we'd like to take a moment to mention all of our major sponsors this morning as well. Presenting sponsor El Pomar Foundation, Gold Medal Keynote Speaker sponsor Key Bank, Silver Medal Fund the Mission sponsor Covington Homes. I hear them cheering. Bronze Medal VIP reception sponsor celebrating their 50th year, G.E. Johnson Construction Company. Olympic Spirit marketing sponsor, DocuMart. Olympic Spirit video sponsor, Quest Diagnostics. Olympic Torch Coffee reception sponsor, Call for Health. Olympic Spirit sponsors, City of Colorado Springs, Olympic City, KKTV 11 News, Sunny 106.3, The Gazette, and Via Media. And finally this morning, we'd like to thank Larry H. Miller Toyota, Colorado Springs, and Larry H. Miller Liberty Toyota, Colorado Springs. They're our Olympic Torch parking sponsors. Now please help me welcome President and CEO of Peak Vista Community Health Centers, Pam McManus.
Thank you, Katie. I brought water, I brought glasses, I'm ready. I want to personally thank each and every one of you, welcoming you to the 13th Annual Breakfast of Champions as we celebrate you, our donors, our community, our staff, and our patients. As I look out over the room, I see many of you that have been committed to our mission for many years. And I also see new faces probably wondering, so what's this Peak Vista thing about? Well, I hope that when you leave, you understand that we know improving the health of our community can only happen with all of us. I work for an incredible group of people. I'd like to thank my boards of directors, the Health Center Board, the Foundation Board, as well as the Philanthropy Advisory Council, as they dedicate their time, energy, all towards Peak Vista making an impact, which makes an impact for our community. So I too want to thank the boards. So we're now in our 46th year of operation, and I'm pleased to report that we provide primary care to over 90,000 people. Our staff's dedication to those patients is really the heart of Peak Vista. In honor of the staff working back at the health centers, and in honor of the staff that are here today, please help me in thanking them for their dedication and hard work. Please stand. So, I'm excited to report some of the updates since our last Breakfast of Champions. Hard to believe it was only a year ago, right? First, we've had the opportunity to welcome 6,700 new patients to Peak Vista this past year. Yeah. We've also had a very successful national quality accreditation audit for our practices, and I'm pleased to report that we were identified as a benchmark organization. That means some of our leaders were asked to speak at a national level to share about the way we provide care at Peak Vista. You'll also be happy to hear that our family health residency and advanced nurse fellowship programs are going strong, and both have accepted new participants this year. In addition, late this summer, we added a medical assistance program as well as a dental assistance training class. It's these 4 programs that are just many of the ways that we are working to address the shortage of healthcare professionals. Please know, we could not have done this without you, without our partnerships with the hospitals, without our partnerships with local private healthcare providers and professionals and donors like you. This is all possible because of you. I'm honored to announce that on Monday, yes, next Monday, November 30th, Peak Vista will begin a new chapter in supporting the community by welcoming the patients and employees from Pediatric Associates. This new location will be at the North Academy campus and will be Peak Vista's 27th clinic. So our Peak Vista patients are pretty incredible. It is truly an honor that they entrust their care with us. Many of you see these patients daily. They're the families that shop with us, next to us at the grocery store. They're the ones that go to the same schools or play at the same parks. Our patients have similar dreams and goals. There are many paths that lead patients to seek our care. What once started as a few volunteer physicians providing care for those without access to care has become much more complex. We now provide care for patients in 7 counties, run many different primary care programs and services. As CEO, it's my job to be looking at the complexity of the programs, to be looking at the complexity of the services, to recognize the magnitude of the numbers and the volumes, assure quality outcomes, and sustainability. But in addition, I feel a critical part of my job is keeper of the mission. In this part of my job, it's essential to recognize we serve individual patients, and each and every one of them have their own story. I'd like to take a minute and look past circumstances, look past status, and really see 6 of our patients.
My name is Gaius. I am 8 years old and I am a Peak Vista patient.
My name is Will Driscoll and I am 34 years old.
Mi nombre es Hilda Morales Soriano. Tengo 52 años.
My name is Felicia Barbera and I'm 48 years old.
I'm Marianne Horvath, 60 years old.
My name is Michael Milberg and I'm 50 years old.
Heather Warga, 34.
I have fibromyalgia and osteopenia.
Unfortunately, my family lost our private insurance, and we were able to qualify first for Medicaid and then later on for CHP+. They're great programs, but it's really difficult to find people in the community who accept those programs, but Peak Vista does. Peak Vista has really been a saving grace for our family.
We all had trouble with ear infections. One son in particular, he ended up with tubes numerous times in both ears and thought he was kind of over that. He was 10-some years old and had been healthy for quite a while, and then he got just a huge ear infection, and it finally healed, but he was deaf on that one ear. And what we learned was that the infection had eaten the bones in his middle ear, so there was nothing to conduct the motion from the eardrum to the nerve. So he could not hear, and to have a child who's that young and deaf is on one ear, you know, you don't want that to happen. I remember driving away from that appointment with my son, and he said, "Mom, it's okay, I'm all right. I don't need this. I'll be fine, Mom." And I said, "No, I'm gonna fight for this." So we went back to Peak Vista like we were told to come back, and I don't remember who or what, but they knew of a program that actually paid for all this. So we didn't have to pay a penny, and he had his middle ear rebuilt.
Con la noticia de que yo tenía cáncer de seno, fue muy doloroso, la verdad para mí fue un golpe muy duro. Si Peak Vista no existiera, yo estaría la mejor hasta muerta ahorita, en este tiempo. Pues fue muy duro el haber encontrado cáncer en mi seno, pero gracias a Dios, Peak Vista existe.
I love Peak Vista, I love my doctors, and when I come here, I feel safe.
Without your funds, there'd be a whole lot of people just out there lost.
I almost was about to give up until I found her, and she actually, you can see in her face that she cares. She knows that I suffer with a lot of pain.
You may not always be able to imagine the person that you're helping or at what stage they are in their lives. You may not be able to imagine the impact that what you're doing or giving has on these people, or how it affects them over the course of their lives. I feel like I've received so much from Peak Vista that I feel the need to give that back. And you know, while at that point in my life I wasn't able to, I certainly have something to contribute now.
Without you guys, who knows where I'd be.
Thank you to Peak Vista for being there, and thank you to Peak Vista for not just being there, but also providing absolutely excellent care and taking care of all of my needs. I don't know how you guys do it.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Regina Lewis, and I and my son came to Peak Vista. When I look at this young man and I think about the journeys in which we've taken, I realize that we stood on the shoulders of others. We stood on your shoulders. Today, I'm Dr. Regina Lewis, a professor at Pikes Peak Community College, and my son is First Lieutenant Charles Lewis, graduate of the Air Force Academy. Thank you. We all hope that we hear these wonderful stories as we help to support individuals to fulfill their dreams. But we oftentimes don't think about what it takes to actually get there. I know for my son and I, we've had to go through our trials and tribulations. And along the way, we've had things that we've had to give up. We had to give up some of our own values to get where we are today. Our values are our gifts. On your table, you will find a box. In this box is your own personal gifts. It's your gifts of values. What I'd like for you to do is open up the box, and inside you will find 3 cards. I'd like for you to take a moment and write down on each one of those cards your values. What gets you up every day? What keeps you going? When all things are down, how do you keep moving? I know if I were to take these 3 cards, and years ago, if I had have written on these 3 cards, then I know one of them definitely would be my family, if nothing else, my son. The second one would definitely be honesty. And the third one would be passion. Those would be my values. So I want you to just hold them as you look at them. I want you to think about what would happen if those values were taken away from you. If suddenly your children were taken away from you, or what you believe in was no longer socially accepted. How would you feel? How would the rest of your values look to you? I know for me, I had the value of honesty. And I remember so well when I had to use food stamps. And someone had given me a vehicle. And a friend of mine told me, she says, when you go to get your food stamps, make sure you don't tell them that you have a vehicle. Well, honesty was my best policy. And when I went in to get them, they asked if I had any assets. And I wasn't sure what they were talking about at the time, but they gave the example of a car. And I said, oh, yes, I have one. It was that day that I found out that I was not eligible for those food stamps. They took away my value of honesty. Because if it takes lying to take care of my son, to feed my son, I was going to do exactly that. Let's see what it feels like to have your values taken away, or you take values away from someone. I want you to take your 3 cards and I want you to hold them in your hand facing you. Now, I need for you to partner with someone because I'm going to give you a couple of prompts. If you get them correct, you get to keep your values. If you get it incorrect, then your partner gets to take one of your cards. Now, your partner doesn't get to decide which card they take, and you don't get to decide which one they take from you. So here it is. In my head, I'm thinking of a number. Because that's how society is. Sometimes it's just a guessing game. We don't know. And if you get the number right, you get to keep it. So tell your partner, what number am I thinking about? I know. Oh, my goodness. Somebody said, well, is there a frame of reference? I wouldn't tell you if I did. And if I overhear you, I'm going to change the number. So go ahead and tell them the number. Okay. The number I was thinking was 1001. Did anybody get it? So I've been doing this for 9 years and no one has ever gotten it. All right, so go ahead and take that card from the other person. Look at the value that you've just taken from someone. How would it feel if you truly took this out of someone's life? Think about the video that you saw and the values that possibly were taken from individuals. Now what I want you to do is I want you to ball it up and just toss it back in front of them. Oh yeah. Thank you. All right. So as I was scanning the room, I actually saw some people crush it up and do a slam dunk. Really? There were others of you that gently crushed it a little bit and tried to pass it back. So now you should have 2 cards left. I want you to look at those cards and I want you to decide which one is going to be your highest value at this point and which one will be your lowest value. And keep in mind that those values change. As something is taken away from you, it's changed. And I want you to think about that. And I want you to place whichever one is your highest value. Whichever one is your highest value. And then on your lowest value, I want you to just set that to the side for a moment. Look at your highest value. What would you do to keep that value? My highest value has always been my son. I don't care what it would take for me to get where I am. When my son was 8.5 years old and he told me he wanted to go to the Air Force Academy, I didn't care what it would take. Shortly after that, his father was killed in a plane crash. Searching for the body remains from the Vietnam War, I looked at my son and realized that he became a daunting statistic. And I had to change the game, and the game was that I would go back to school and get my education. And I told my son, I'm going to show you what it is to be disciplined, dedicated, and determined. And I told him that I would keep going to school until I received my PhD, and I would get it before he graduated from high school. 6 days before my son graduated from high school, I received my PhD. Thank you. But along the way, there were so many things, including how I need to walk, how I need to talk, how I need to interact with individuals. My family in Baltimore, they don't even understand me anymore because I don't speak the same language or tongue. Now what I'd like for you to do is I'd like for you to take your lowest value, and on the back of it, I want you to write something that you enjoy, something that you think everybody should have. I think for me, it would be my shoes. I mean, you know, it's got to be my shoes. That's just what I am, right? So write on the back what it is. And after you do that, I want you to go back and take your highest value. And with that highest value, I just want you to hold it near and dear to your heart for just one moment and think about what you would do to keep that value. Now I want you to think about when you have to make a choice, the choice of a lifetime. Now I want you to tear that value up yourself. Tear the value up. I know. People don't want to tear it up, right? It doesn't feel good, and there are people that are forced every day to have to tear up their values in order to succeed and to survive in our society. Now what I want you to do is I want you to take the last card. And I want you to now exchange your last card with the person next to you. This is like pushing somebody else's value onto you. Now, there's some of you that would say that you could operate by that being your top value, and that's because you have similar thoughts. But there's some people that could not accept that. But what if I were to tell you that that's not the value that you're supposed to hold on to? That the value that you're going to have to put at the top of your list is on the back of that card. Turn your card over and look. Oh, yeah. Always keep in mind that although we're here for a larger cause than ourselves, that the people that we are helping has to go through a journey, and that journey is not always easy. And as we help them, oftentimes we're going to have to make them give up their values. Always keep that in mind. Thank you so much for allowing me to share my story with you today. Thank you. At this time, I would like to go ahead and introduce you to our next guest. Please help me welcome Grace Covington, owner of Covington Homes, and this year's Silver Medal Fund, the mission sponsor. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. As Regina said, I'm Grace Covington, and I wish we had Peak Vista when I was a child. See, my mother left home when she was very young, and I'm going to blame Regina on my emotion here right now, but she had to take care of 3 very young kids. We didn't have much money. We could barely afford food, and well, we couldn't afford health care. Forget that. My parents were barely able to scrape enough money to see the dentist once a year in a well-child visit. Everything else, my mom just kept sugar away from us and just prayed that no major medical catastrophe would ever happen to her children because we couldn't afford it. When I fell and I split my chin, I'll never forget my mom saying, "Well, we can't go to the doctor, so let's just use a butterfly Band-Aid." I still have that scar. This is how we lived for many years until my mom was welcomed back home into the family. A couple months ago, one of our trade partners, he called me to ask me if I knew how his grandma could get help. You see, she has cancer, and they have no money. They can't afford a copay, they can't afford the deductible, they can't afford the cancer treatment, and they don't even know where to go. All John knew was that his grandma needed help, and he couldn't help her. My friend Regina here has a story. I have a story. John has a story. What about you? How many of you have a story? Have you ever been knocked down and you couldn't get back up? We are very foolish to believe that we could never find ourselves someday in that same situation. People every day in this community and communities all over, they're only one event away from losing everything. You've heard Regina, one event changes the life of a family, perhaps forever. And we want to make it for the better. Would you give everything you have to save your child, your husband, your wife, your loved ones, yourself? There are many in our community and communities all over who they cannot afford a hospital stay. They can't afford a copay. They cannot afford to take their children to the doctor. They cannot afford their children's cancer treatment. They cannot afford their own cancer treatment. They must face difficult decisions every day, such as, do I buy food for my children this week? Or do I go to the doctor and get checked for the constant pain that keeps me from work? They must face difficult questions, such as, do I have enough money for gas if I pay my copay for my child's doctor visit? They must face difficult challenges, such as, how do I get my child to the emergency room if I have no car? These people are part of our community. They are our neighbors, our teachers, our military, our auto mechanics. They are our baristas at the local Starbucks, our favorite waiters and waitresses. They're our receptionists at the doctor's office, coworkers, our friends, and sometimes even our own family. Peak Vista serves over 90,000 people in this community, those very people. That's 1 out of every 6 people in our community that receive care from Peak Vista. This is incredible, and something that our community should be very proud of, but we can't serve our community without your help. How many of you are here because of the food? Okay, and I kind of missed that we didn't have steak this year, I'm just saying, but the bacon was really good. No, I don't think we're here because of the food. I think we're here because as a community, we want to serve our community. Each year at the Breakfast of Champions, gold medal winning Olympians, they stand on the stage and they speak of their challenges, their hopes, their dreams, where they have come from and where they are now. You are about to hear from one of those Olympians, a very courageous and amazing Olympian named Amy. These Olympians are strong, they're competitive, they're winners. They're part of the most elite athletic class in the world. But just like me and just like you, just like our brothers, sisters, neighbors, friends, they share the same need, the need to be healthy. Venus Williams aptly put it a few years ago on this very stage. She said, if you don't have health, well, then you don't really have anything at all, which is so true. Which is why I believe strongly in the mission of Peak Vista, all of our sponsors, and I know all of you believe in the mission of Peak Vista. If you are like me, giving to Peak Vista and helping people in serious need in our community is much better than giving to the IRS. And hopefully no one repeats that. And for those here today who are on the more analytical side, like my husband, who wants the facts and figures, the fact is that for every dollar you give to Peak Vista, you give a credit of about 60 cents per each dollar. So it's not very expensive. This is made possible with the Enterprise Zone Tax Credit. Let's lift up our community. There's little envelopes on your table. Whether it's $25, $250, $5,000, $10,000, every little bit helps. Whether you want to sign up like me and my husband have with the Health is Wealth, we just pay every month just enough money to maybe get a child a well child visit, or maybe help pay for someone's cancer treatment. So let's lift up our community. Let's stand in the gap for our neighbors who cannot pay for their child's cancer treatment. Let's stand in the gap for the single mom who cannot pay for stitches. Let's stand in the gap for the military widow who cannot pay for a child well care exam. Let's stand in the gap and let's make a difference. I would like now to invite to the stage this year's gold medal keynote speaker sponsor, Debbie Trujillo from KeyBank, who has been a proud sponsor of the Breakfast of Champions for 11 years.
Good morning. I'm Debbie Trujillo, Corporate Responsibility Officer for KeyBank. And let me find where I'm at real quick. It is such an honor to be here with Amy Van Dyken and all of you this morning in support of the outstanding work done by Peak Vista. What an inspirational way to start the morning, right? Woo! This is KeyBank's 11th consecutive year as one of the sponsors of the most wonderful event, and this one is one of my favorite. I look forward to it because I expect to be inspired, and I always am, by the message of these great Olympic champions that they deliver. KeyBank has 61 branches and almost 700 employees in Colorado, including 4 branches right here in Colorado Springs. We enjoy living and working here for the same reasons that you do. We are very proud to support programs that help bring people together for the common good. We at KeyBank are inspired every day to help our communities thrive. And we believe that community has to be healthy in order to thrive. And we encourage our employees and our leadership, even our clients, to be healthy and to live healthy lifestyles. This is one of the reasons we love partnering with Peak Vista. As you know, the funds raised here this morning will be used to reduce access barriers to medical, dental, and behavioral health services for uninsured and underinsured children, families, and working adults in Colorado's Pikes Peak area and eastern central regions. It is my honor to represent KeyBank at this event. Thank you to Peak Vista for the important work that you do and to enhance the health of Coloradoans, and thanks to each and every one of you for joining us in building this thriving community. Now, it is my pleasure to warmly welcome the 2017 Breakfast of Champions keynote speaker. She has won 6 Olympic gold medals in her career, and in 2007, she was the only American swimmer to be inducted into the International Swimming Hall of Fame. Please help me give a warm welcome to the one and only Amy Van Dyken.
By the time she was 27 years old, Amy Van Dyken was a 6-time Olympic gold medalist. 15 years removed from the Sydney Games, Van Dyken is channeling the same determination that helped her reach her Olympic-sized dreams to accomplish something most people say is impossible.
I'm training harder now, I would say, than I did for the Games.
It's just hard to understand how someone could be so positive and be so motivated. It's great.
You learn how to push through pain. We used to say that about winning gold medals, and now we say that because I moved my toe.
We begin with breaking news. A hometown hero seriously injured and in the hospital right now in Arizona.
The 6-time Olympic gold medalist was riding home from dinner on an all-terrain vehicle when she crashed. She suffered a broken back and a severed spinal cord.
When I found her, she was face down and she wasn't breathing.
He rolled me over, lifted up my neck, and I started convulsing and my eyes went 2 different directions.
She probably did that for 3 to 4 minutes, and then it kind of normalized, and she was just confused. She had no idea what had happened to her.
Paramedics arrived. They airlifted Van Dyken to Scottsdale Healthcare Hospital. There, doctors took x-rays of her broken back.
The stack of blocks that are supposed to be on a row, it became obvious a child could pick it out. They were just malaligned. By dislocating that block, then you've compromised the spinal cord.
Van Dyken needed life-threatening surgery to realign her spine.
I remember Dr. Toomey Allen went over and took a picture of my x-ray, showed it to me on his iPhone, and said, "This is your bone and this is your aorta. I'm working in nanometers. Say goodbye to your husband, because I don't know if you're gonna make it."
The 7-hour surgery was successful, but doctors told Van Dyken she would spend the rest of her life paralyzed from the waist down.
It seemed like as soon as you came out of surgery that it was like instantly smiling, happy, positive, we're gonna do this.
Yeah, that's how I came out.
As if she was holding court. She was sitting there laughing, her family and friends were around her. And I remember I said to her, "Well, I'm looking for someone around here who just had a spine operation." She laughed, she goes, "Well, that's me, Doc."
After she got out of surgery, I wanted to get her phone in her hands where she could reach out to people, and then she could get the positive energy coming back.
As I started getting responses from people, I started realizing that someone may have a really crappy day and they look at my Instagram and go, you know what? If she could do it, then I can be happy doing what I'm doing.
It's like she woke up from surgery and was like, this is where I'm at. I don't want to look back. I just want to go forward from here.
Left foot first.
Here we go.
3.
Hips, posture.
There are days, pretty much Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, that I don't want to go to therapy. Come on, Amy. But you know what? I didn't want to go to practice either. But you pull something out of yourself and you get there and it ends up being like your best day.
Oh, come on.
Well, you got it.
Come on.
You can go.
Is it the Olympic training that gives her the strength that she needs, or is it the fact that she became an Olympian? There's something wired in Amy Van Dyken. That's why she is a 6-time gold medal champion. That's why she's doing better than I ever would have expected in someone with this type of injury, because I have never seen someone like her.
Determined to move on, Van Dyken's next phase of recovery is a return to broadcasting as an analyst for the Pac-12 networks.
Hi there, Jason Knapp here alongside 6-time Olympic gold medalist Amy Van Dyken.
I love the way that she swims. She is so aggressive.
I've thought about my return every single day since I heard that it was happening. I love being on your side of the camera, not so much on my side of the camera.
This is what Pac-12 swimming is. It's just awesome.
You've said that there's a reason that you feel like everything has happened the way that it has and that you truly believe that. Can you explain that? What is that reason?
I feel that this happened for a reason because I have to. Obviously, I didn't reach my goal of walking out of the hospital, but I'm feeling good and getting some strength back in my legs.
Oh my.
I tell people all the time, I'm absolutely on borrowed time. Today was not supposed to happen.
There's a reason she's still here. God's not done with her yet.
She's breaking all the rules. She's doing things on her pace, and that pace is intense and fast.
Come on, go girl.
I saw what some would consider the light. So things can be worse. Let's be honest. I smile, but not every day is awesome. There's a lot of really bad days, and so I can kind of look at that and say it could be worse and move on.
Bye-bye. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Wow. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Wow. Thank you, guys. I know that it's just because you've been sitting for a long time and your pants are up your butt, but I do appreciate it. And I'm not taking notes. I actually have a timer, because if I don't time myself, we're going to be here until dinner. Then we'll get the steak. So I'm a Colorado native, born here, born at St. Joseph's Hospital in downtown Denver. Rock on. Spent my whole entire life here, my career here. I even have green nails because go Rams! Right? My people, thank you. The cool people over there. Notice how they're all in the front tables. Right? See you, where are you? Right? Way back there. Good to see you. Well, I'm the firstborn child, and of course, as the firstborn child, right, your parents think that you can do no wrong. You are it. Now, when I was born, it was back in the days where we had front-facing car seats. Do you remember those? We also sucked on lead paint like it was going out of style, right? Nothing really happened. And Mom and I would listen to the radio and sing, and all of a sudden one day Amy was quiet. Those of you that know me know that that is a tragic event. Mom looked in the rearview mirror and I was turning blue. A couple of doctor's visits later, after being diagnosed with pneumonia, no, it's bronchitis, no, it's pneumonia. We went down to another hospital, and they said, we've never done this with a child this age. You're 18 months old. You have severe asthma. I told my parents, not me, because I wouldn't understand it, but one thing I want you guys to know about me is that if I do something, I don't do it halfway, I go all in. So not only do I have asthma, I have all 3 types of asthma, and I'm severe in all 3 types. So exercise-induced, smart to be an athlete. I also have infection-induced. Anytime I get a cold, I'm going to have an asthma attack. I also have allergy-induced. So people ask me, what are you allergic to? Here's the best way to say this. I'm allergic to anything that lives and breathes, anything that ever has once lived and breathed, anything that could jump up from your table, that stuff behind the refrigerator that can jump up and start living and breathing, I'm allergic to it. And I'm allergic to chlorine. And I've been convinced for years that Mom has been trying to kill me since I was a child, but we talk about that on Fridays. It's a whole different topic. Anyway, I just wanted to be like everybody else. And I wasn't. I couldn't go outside for recess, couldn't go on trips to the Denver Zoo. I was just me, inside. And the doctor said, you need to exercise your lungs. And I said, but I can't walk up and down the stairs by myself most days, Doc. What am I supposed to do? And he said, well, water sports are great. So I was stoked. I signed up for swim team, diving team, synchro team. And the first day of diving practice, by the way, I had my swimsuit on, my hair was pulled back, I did have sunscreen on, and I looked very cute. I got to the edge of the diving board, and as I stood there and I looked down, I discovered 2 things about myself at 6 that I didn't know already. And the first one was, I'm not coordinated. Take 3 steps, hurdle, jump, twist, not gonna happen. And now that hippy, skippy, jumpy thing, anybody else watch to see if someone's gonna rip the top of their foot off? Just me? Cool. Okay. So I'm also afraid of heights. So I got down, wasn't discouraged because the next day was synchro. Showed up, I had my sequins on, my hair was slicked back, I had the eyelashes on, probably the same ones I have on today, they're fabulous. The music started, I throw my nose plug on, jump in the water, I'm upside down doing that scully thing that they do for like an hour and a half, and 2 things I didn't already know about myself became apparent. One is that I am not a graceful individual, so the whole water ballet thing was not gonna work. I can't point my toes. I would show you, but then that would be awkward. Also, there's something wrong with my nose. The nose plug didn't work, and I had water shooting straight into my brain. You'll understand that in a little bit. Next day was swim practice. And I showed up, and I had a swim cap on, goggles, my Speedo on, plug, plug, plug. I had a pull buoy between my legs, I had fins on, and I looked like a total dork. And anybody that says that swimmers are hot, we need to talk, because I have two words for you. Banana hammock. No, see you guys not getting it. Grape smuggler? We'll stop there, thank you. Sorry, okay. We're not attractive, but I jumped in the water and I found my passion. And I know you guys are saying, well, yeah, you won 6 gold medals, like short speech. It took me 6 years until I was 12 years old to finish one length of the pool. But I was with my friends. I was always that kid that would say, take your marks. Everyone bends down gracefully. I had my arms back looking to make sure I was doing the right thing. Gun goes off. Everyone eloquently dives into the water, very minimal splash. And I went, wham, belly flop. And everyone went, ooh, that had to hurt. And it did. Take a couple strokes, hang on the lane line, and start gasping, and Mom, which is cute until you're 11. But when I was 12, I finished my first length of the pool, and I remember I was so excited. I jumped out of the pool. The neighborhood was so excited. They were like, thank you, God. We're going to be done early. Woo! But I thought they were clapping because I finished. I ran over to my mom and dad, and I said, guess what? Next time I swim, I'm going to win. And I remember my dad put down his coffee, put his arm around me, looked around, and said, Amy, shh, someone's going to hear you. Next year, I did just that. I won my first blue ribbon at 13, and I was on the Olympic path. By the way, I have to say shortly, quickly, I do a lot of these around the country with lots of people. But there are some people in this audience right now that are making me very nervous. I have some friends and fellow teammates that I don't think have ever heard a lot of my stories. So if you guys are on my teams, can you guys just stand up so we can give you a shout out really quickly? There's a few of you. Yay! Woo-hoo! Yes! And we're waving to each other. It's always, it's a daunting task to speak in front of friends and family, right? Isn't that weird, right? So anyway, just had to share that. I won that blue ribbon, and I was destined for the Olympics. But the next thing was I had to try out for my high school swim team. Because again, remember, not everybody got a trophy. Not everybody got an A, which in my case was really awful. And you had to try out. They only took the top 28 swimmers. I went to Cherry Creek High School, although I am a nice person. Right? I remember trying out. I tried out as hard as I could. I did the best that I could, and I remember the list was posted. I was so excited. I went over, and I started at the number 1, which at that time made sense in my little head, right? And I started going down. I didn't see my name, and I got to 15, 16. My stomach started turning. I got to 20, 21, 22, I was going to throw up. I got to 26, 27, and I thought, how am I going to tell my dad I failed? But there I was, number 28. The coach told me, listen, Amy, you are so bad that we're not going to race you at all this year, but we'd love you to come to practice every day, and if you work hard and you keep getting better, we're going to put you on the relay. It had won state since the earth had cooled, from my understanding. So I was so excited. Little did I know that that swim meet meant nothing in the grand scheme of things, but that day came and I was on the relay. I was so nervous. I was behind the blocks. I had a towel over my head, and I did that thing that is not politically correct, and if you don't like unpolitically correctness, plug your ears. I did the whole, okay, if I don't screw up tonight, I promise I will not beat my sister up tonight. My brother, it doesn't count, and I will eat all my broccoli. Gotcha. And as I did that, the other 3 girls from my relay team walked in front of me, and what they said and what they did changed my life forever. Sounds dramatic, yes I am, but this is truthful. This was the 80s. We spoke differently and looked differently. Ready? Malbangs. Oh my God. I know, like Amy Van Dyken's like totally on our relay, like gag me with a spoon, as if. Thank you. These were the girls that I wanted to be. These were the girls that I wanted to be like, and they've just broken my heart and told me that I was so bad they didn't want to swim with me. So after I was sad and after I was angry, I thought to myself, wait a minute. Who are you to tell me what I can and can't do? You do not know my heart, you do not know my soul, and you do not know what I am capable of. Who are you? We won the relay. By the time I was a junior in high school, I was breaking state records in everything I swam. By the time I was a senior, I had qualified for the 1992 Olympic trials. I have to tell my nieces and nephews that, yes, we did have the Olympics in the 1900s. We drove cars, too. Good gravy. Well, I had a chance to go to almost any school that I wanted to go to. Now, when they take you on a recruiting trip, they bring you to places that you want to see. My brother is an evolutionary biologist. They brought him to the library. My sister, they also showed around as well, brought her to the library and different things. And for me, they brought me to fraternity row. Hot men with their shirts off drinking beer. I'm an Arizona Wildcat for a few years. Bear down, Arizona. First day of practice, we're in this room, and it's split in half, and I didn't know what side to go on, but I went on the side with people that I didn't know, because on the other side of the room were Olympians, big-time people, huge. I wanted to be them. And the coach is talking about it's an Olympic year, and Van Dyken, what are you doing? Would you get over here? You're going to trials. Sweet. So I went over to the Olympic trial side, and at the 1992 Olympic trials, I swam 2 events. The first one was the 100 butterfly. I would like to find the person that invented the butterfly and kick them as hard as I can in the shin. It's the stupidest stroke, right? Okay, Titanic's going down, right? There's Jack swimming the butterfly, right? Rose is doing a little breaststroke, and we know how that ended. Sorry, Jack. I got 12th, which is not bad. The next day was my baby, the 50 free. This is where you jump in and you hit the wall as hard and as fast as you can. It's the splash and dash. Love it. The only thing that I wanted was to try to make the Olympic team. But in order to do that, you swim prelims, and then you have to get top 8. And I did. I got 8th. So there we were, got behind the block, start doing this. And you guys see athletes do this all the time, right? I'm going to tell you a secret. Do you know what this is? Anybody? Athletes, quiet. Anybody know what this is? Okay. You know when you're a kid and you're like playing hide and seek and you get nervous and you have to tinkle? And you cross your legs and do the potty dance? You can't do that on worldwide television. So you shake it out. Right? Next Olympics, you're going to be like, hey, guess what? Lochte has to tinkle. How do you know that? Trust me. Gotta tinkle. I used to say football players, right? But then I married one and I realized that they don't potty dance, they just go. And so Mark Schlereth didn't get the nickname Stink for, okay, moving on, I'm sorry, I keep, right, squirrel. So I get behind the blocks and I start doing the potty dance, and they start announcing everyone from lane 8 to lane 1, and this is what I heard. In lane 8, Betty Sue Smith. She has 8 bajillion world records, 9,000 gold medals. She was on the cover of Vogue. Isn't she beautiful? Everyone clapped, and I went, oh, what? The gun went off, I swam my race and I hit the wall and I didn't know to be happy or sad. Happy, I won a best time. At Olympic trials, it's a pretty big deal. Sad, I missed the team. I got 4th by just a little teeny bit. But I got out of the pool and I went up to my mom and dad and I said, you know what, guys? I don't want to go to Barcelona to swim one length. It's a waste of time and space for everybody involved. I'm going to go in 96 and I'm going to swim more than one event. My dad put down his coffee, stood up on top of the chair and yelled at the 92 Olympic trials, did everybody hear that? My daughter's going to the 1996 Olympics. He got down. I looked at my dad. I put my arm around him and said, Dad, shh, someone's going to hear you. But I did just that. I qualified not 1, not 2, but 5 events. Woke up the next morning after trials, ran to the bathroom to look in the mirror because I'm an Olympian, right? I'm going to have long flowing hair, a clear complexion, and of course the hottest boyfriend you've ever seen. And not one of those things happened. So I asked a friend of mine, Summer Sanders, I said, Summer, when did you feel like an Olympian? And she said, when we went through the gates of the village, that's when I felt it. And I was stoked because we're on the bus, and it's like from here to like halfway in this room. And we're ready to go. I'm going to have my moment. And then all of a sudden, we're in the bus, and wham, stops. We have military members getting on the bus. They've got dogs, cats, hamsters. They got little wacky things, taser guns. And I turned around to my friend behind me, and I said, they're ruining my moment. How dare they? How selfish can you be? And as I did that, we went through the gates, and I missed my moment. A couple days later, I see all of our teammates dressed in these horrific outfits. Now, this was before Ralph Lauren got involved in the situation. We didn't have jackets that lit up and flashed USA. We actually had 2 pieces of felt and duct tape, one in the front, one in the back, duct tape each other in. And I went to a friend of mine, Janet Evans, who had been on the Olympic team since I think it started back in the ancient days, right? I think she had. And I said, Janet, what are you doing? Now, she knows that I went to school on an athletic scholarship, not academic, so she knows to speak slower to me. She said, honey, we're going to the opening ceremonies because the games start tomorrow. And she patted me on the head. I said, awesome, have fun. Well, I knew I had to go back and do what all swimmers do and shave. I'm going to tell you, when you have a moment that changes your life forever, please do not have a razor at your ankle. I turned on the TV to watch my friends, and I heard a commercial. Tomorrow, Amy Van Dyken takes on the world in the 100-meter freestyle. Huh? Well, the next day I went out and I swam. I made finals. I swam that race as hard as I could, and I hit the wall, and I didn't know if I should be happy or sad. Happy, I won a best time. Sad, I got 4th. Just missed a medal. But it was worse than that, because not only did I just let myself down and my family down and my friends down, I lit my country down. Because we send people to the Olympics to get medals, not to get 4th. Well, I was notorious for having leg cramps all the time. And they tell you not to sit down, and of course, remember, not smart, water in the brain. I sat down. NBC's trying to get me off the deck to get the next event going, and they stood me up, and all 6 feet of woman, not graceful, not coordinated, crash. I think I bounced twice. It was really cute. Everyone came running. Worldwide television came running. My massage therapist's butt crack was on worldwide TV. It was awesome. Yeah. I still owe him beers for that. Well, after that, I went and I got my massage, and I went and I had dinner, and I went back to my room, and the head Olympic coach was there. And he said, hey, Aim, why don't you sit down? And I was like, oh, thanks, I think I will. It's my room. Sat down. And he said, you know, great swim today. I know you tried hard, but we've got a relay coming up tomorrow, and I don't think I'm going to put you on that. So you can sit and watch your teammates and cheer for them, and that'd be great. And those 3 girls from high school walked in front of me, and I said, who are you to tell me what I can and can't do? In my head, not out loud. I'm not that disrespectful. And I said, you know what, Richard? Please give me a chance. Give me a shot. And I remember begging for that shot, and I got that shot. We went out and swam that night. Not only did we get a gold medal, we broke the world record. Not only did that happen, I went the fastest split that had ever been swum in the history of the Olympics. So do not tell me to go home. Day after that was the 100 butterfly. Well, after the morning swim, I was seated second, right? Like, that was pretty good. I was like, this is awesome. Like, I'm going to get to swim tonight. Went back, had the massage, went and had lunch, and I went back to my room, and there's the coaches, and I'm like, what did I do now? You know, Aim, we think you can win this, and this is how you're going to do it. And at that point, all I heard was wah, 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 wah. Well, that night I went out, I started swimming. We got to the halfway point, which is a turn, and every coach will tell you, do not look around. So what did I do? I looked around. I was in 4th. One more spot, and I got my own medal. So I'm swimming, and I get to 35 meters left to go, and the crowd was so loud that not only could I hear them under the water, I could feel them cheering underwater. It was like a zzz, and I was like, whoa, someone must be swimming really fast. I hope it's Angel. She's such a good teammate. She deserves to win this. That'd be really awesome, wouldn't it? Swim, 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 and I hit the wall and turned around, and I was like, well, that's a pretty good time. What is that? I have no idea. What is that? And then I heard, the gold medal goes to Amy Van Dyken from the United States. Oh my God! Now, I'm going to tell you, I'm here for educational purposes as well. When you have a moment like that, practice it in the mirror, right? Because I have to sign Wheaties boxes that are this. Would it have been much better to be like, do that? The day after that was another relay. There's 2 things that can hurt you on a relay. One, someone has forgotten a swimsuit. Sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? There's actually managers underneath where we're all hanging out with swimsuits, all sizes, shapes, colors, because someone, Michael Phelps, it may have happened to before. I would never, Caitlin Leverance, ever say anyone's name, though, because that is just really tacky, Simone Manuel. Anyway, I checked, we all had our swimsuits. The other thing that can hurt your relay is if you have a rookie who is nervous, and we had one of those. We had this 14-year-old little girl on our team. She liked to carry a teddy bear around, right? Her name is Amanda Beard. You won't know her, never mind. So I tell her I say that, and she's like, why do you always do that? Because it's funny and makes me feel good. She comes up to me and she goes, you know, Amy, I've never done one of these. I said, oh, honey, it's just like a regular, you just go, they'll march us out, wave, do the swim, it's fine. Well, no, I've never done a relay start. Excuse me? You've never what? So I told her, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to yell go, and when I yell go, I don't want you to think about anything. I want you to go. She said, okay. So swimmer's coming in, Amanda's on the block, I'm right next to her, and all of a sudden I go, go, and she goed, and then I goed, and then we all goed, and then our English goed, and it was awesome. World record, gold medal, and then this is when I decided to get into the media. We went down into the media area, and they said, wow, Amy, you were so supportive of Amanda. It was impressive. I said, well, no, I was telling her to go. Right, so are you going to be friends for a long time after this? No, I was telling her to go. Do your parents know? I was telling her to go. Well, I went back into my room, and I saw my stash, and I had 3 gold medals, which is a cute pair of earrings and a nice necklace, right? But I like to layer. I'm not greedy. So the next day was the splash and dash, the 50 free, my baby. I qualified second, and I knew in the morning I was going to win. You talk about the zone, and you hear this from a lot of athletes. I was in the zone. Everything was quiet. Everything was calm. I was very confident. For it to be quiet when I listened to heavy metal music as loud as possible is very unusual, but it happened. Now that night we were in the ready room. Not a lot of people know what that was until Michael Phelps decided to, do his whole thing this last time, which was awesome, by the way. But what it is it's rows of chairs, and as one heat goes, you move forward. Now, you have to be there 30 minutes before your race. If you're 10 seconds late, disqualified, right? So we're all there. We've all got big shoulders sitting next to each other, and I'm sitting next to these girls that I am about ready to rip the heart and soul out of for a gold medal. And I thought to myself, why do I have to be in a room for 30 minutes with these people that I'm about ready to do that to? And there was a girl next to me from China, and she had won the 100 free earlier and had the world record in this event, so I figured she would know, right? So I took my chair and I spun it around, and as I sat down in front of her, I went, oh, no, I don't speak Chinese. And I knew she did not speak English, but I didn't want to be that person that was like, never mind, I'm going to take my chair back. I'm an American. Let's be proud. I sat in front of her. Our knees are about an inch apart, and I didn't know what to do. So for the next 30 minutes, I just sat there, and I just stared at her. Then they said, everybody up. Jumped up, got behind my friend from China. Remember, not graceful, not coordinated, already fell, wet deck, sitting there, staring at the back of her head. We get the pie in the blocks, potty dance, and I wanted to make sure that she was awake. You don't want to fall asleep for the Olympics. So I turned and I stared at her, and she did something that she had never done in all the years of us competing. She looked down. I knew I won. But I thought, let's give these people a show, shall we? So I bent down and I started thinking, oh my gosh, I'm so nervous, and my mouth is really dry. I don't have any water, but oh, there's a pool. awesome. So I bent down into that splashy thing and I put water in my mouth and I swished it around and I thought to myself, self, how many people from how many different countries, right, with how many different potty and bathing habits have been in a pool for the past 3 weeks? And I would like to ask you, who would have drank that water? Right. So I looked at my friend from China, and my mouth was full, so I could not say, pardon me, Le Jingyi, may I please, which was her name, may I please dispose of my water in your lane? Thank you. So I just looked at her and I'd done it since high school. It was a good luck thing. It was like the 50 free socks that I wore and the leprechaun in my left pocket. I had to do it. Got up on the blocks. Swimmers, take your mark. The gun went off. Last thing that went through my head was, it's yours, go get it. I got halfway and I took a breath, and my friend from China took her breath at exactly the same time. And we stared at each other for about, 0.3 seconds. And I put my head back on the water, and there are reasons that I swam and didn't run track because my mouth, what I said underwater cannot be repeated, and I'm still going to confession for it, so I'm not going to say anything. But I gritted my teeth and I kicked it into another gear. I hit the wall and I won. I jumped out of the water, and I did not know the ramifications of this until I saw my coach, John T. Skinner, crying. And I had always wanted to make that man cry. Payback, right? And I went to the mixed zone, which is athletes on one side, chain link fence, media. We know my relationship with the media at this point. So all of a sudden, Ed Green, you guys know Ed? Ed comes to me and goes, Amy, we're going live in 30 seconds. Can I get you? I said, Ed, I'm done. Get me all you want. He said, great. He does this whole stand-up thing, and he says, Amy, what did it feel like to break the Olympic record? And I said, because my time, I think broke the Olympic record. And I said, well, it was great. I've been working on my start. I felt really good. I got into a good tempo. And he starts, and I thought, oh, God, did I just drop an F-bomb on live TV? Mid-sentence, I stopped and smiled. That makes it better, doesn't it? He said, no, Amy, you're the only American woman ever, summer, winter, any sport, to win 4 gold medals in 1 games. And I looked dead in the camera, going back to my home state of Colorado, and I said, shut up! So after that, I had to redeem myself. Started training for 2000. I did a lift. I was showing off, and it was really cute. The bar was too heavy, and I kind of tweaked my shoulder, and it went, and I had to have shoulder surgery, and it took 18 months to get back in the pool. My first race back, I false started, and then the race started, and I heard a snap, crackle, and pop. And I don't eat Rice Krispies. I eat Wheaties. Plug, plug, plug. Yeah. I hit the wall. I took my goggles off, and I was crying. And a friend of mine, Dara Torres, goes, why are you crying? Is it because you lost? And I said, no, well, now I am, Dara. Thank you. But no, I hurt myself. And I went and I had surgery again, 6 months to the day of Olympic trials. And everyone said, you're not going to shut it down, girl. Well, I went back to Olympic trials, and I made it in 3 more events. And I walked away with 2 more gold medals. And as I stood there on the podium, and I had my gold medal, and I had my flowers, and I had my team right next to me, I saw all the people that were standing, and I saw all the people with cameras, and I thought, this is going back home. And how many people back home are standing up or singing or maybe just quiet for the first time all day for something we had just done? And it was an amazing feeling to stand there and to watch the American flag go up first, as well it should, for something I worked so hard for. I had done everything I wanted to do. Gold medals, world records, American records. What else could I do? I swam 8 Olympic races. My first race I got 4th, my last race I got 4th, and in the middle, So at the age of 27, when I was retired, I thought, well, what do you do when you're a retired woman in the state of Colorado and you're a huge Denver Bronco fan? You go find one and marry them. Right? Free tickets, people. I mean, do I need to spell it out? They were on the Super Bowl run. So I met Tom Ruin, number 16, which is really weird now that we have a receiver that's number 16. I'm like, honey, nice catch, yay. And he was my best friend. And I was doing a lot of media, NFL and Fox, doing a lot of stuff. And then I decided that I would like to wake up at 3 in the morning every day. And I did a morning radio show in Arizona. It was one of those shock jock type things. I know, shocking to see me in that. All right, everybody, caller number 25, all right. And I got tired of talking about the Kardashians and their butts, so I moved on, and I was in sports radio, and I moved to Los Angeles, and I was the only female on the network. My partner, his name is Rob Dibble. They called him the Nasty Boy. He had won the World Series in 1991. He was known for hitting people with baseballs that weren't paying attention in the stands, and the man is afraid of me. Me? No. We were in over 500 markets, and a lot of those we were top 20, and in a lot of those we were top 10. And we needed to take a vacation. So we did. We went back to Arizona. Tom had built a beautiful house up in the mountains. We went up there. Now, our neighborhood is a gated community, and it's a golf community. So you park your car, and then you take, I don't know, your skateboard, your bike, your hoverboard until it catches fire, and then an Uber. And then I took my ATV. That's what we did. June 6th, 2014 was a day like every other day. I woke up, and I had about a gallon of coffee. I took my dog for a walk on the golf course. Someone yelled, "I didn't think you were allowed to walk dogs on this golf course." I said, "I didn't think you were allowed to play crappy golf on this golf course." Kuma, run! I went and I did CrossFit, and I met the guy who owned the box. He had just come back from Nationals, and his name was DJ, and he was a firefighter. He's like, "Amy, Tom, come to the firefighter games tonight." And I did what I did, and I shouldn't have done this. I was like, "Sure, totally gonna come." Went back home, took a shower, and we wanted to go to dinner. We were going to go to a place that was a quarter of a mile away, and I know it was a quarter of a mile because I was a runner. I don't do that anymore. I had to retire that for obvious reasons. But it's okay, you can laugh at that, it's funny. Someone actually told me one time, you know, you shouldn't be making fun of disabled people, even though you're disabled. Okay, so anyway, moving on. That's how I would warm up. I would warm up to this restaurant and then run. Now, I was notorious for wearing, I'm 6 feet tall, but I wore 5 to 6 inch stiletto heels. Regina, with you, girl. And I'm not going to walk. So Tom said, "Why don't we take our truck?" And I said, "Babe, come on, it's a beautiful night, like clear air, like let's just get out there." So we went to dinner, sat down, said hi to everybody, and I had trout and steamed broccoli. Why do I tell you that? It's the most insignificant thing in the entire world. I don't know what I had for dinner last night, but I will never forget what I had that night. I pushed in my chair, and that's where my memory stops. From accounts, I can tell you what happened. I got on my ATV. Tom was dillying around with his motorcycle. He normally took off ahead of me, but this time I took off in front of him, and he said that he looked up and saw me going, and he was like, "Where is she going?" No screaming, no screeching, not even one brake light. I went over a 6-foot cliff. He came over and saw me and saw that my back was visibly broken. Got down there, and as you heard in the video, I wasn't breathing. He rolled me over and lifted up my neck. It took 40 minutes for first responders to get there. But when they did, my first responder was a guy who owned a CrossFit box named DJ. I met my Flight for Life helicopter pilot later. She's literally this tall. Her husband was the one that was bringing her in, and he tells me, not only did she have night vision goggles on, I shouldn't have landed her where I did, because I could have killed my wife and my child. I do remember being in the helicopter, and the nurse was behind me, and I saw the clouds, and I was like, "Am I dying? I'm too young. I'm not ready to die." And they hit me with morphine. Shut her up. And what I didn't know was Dr. Toomey Allen was my trauma surgeon, and I'm thankful because the rumor is if I would have had anybody else, they would have made me comfortable. We know what that means. Well, that night they were assembling a team, and my doctor said we closed down not only that trauma center, but every trauma center I could be called to. And of course me, I said, "Why, because I won gold medals?" He said, "No, because it was really that bad." I had surgery the next morning. I was supposed to have it at noon, but I had it at 8 a.m. because I was leaking so much spinal fluid that I was about ready to go. The doctor, as you heard, showed me his cell phone and said, "Amy, you don't understand." When I saw the x-ray, you know, your spine's supposed to be like this, and mine was like this. And this one was touching my aorta. So if Tom would have given me chest compressions, I wouldn't be here. And he said, "Amy, I am not confident we're going to come out of this. There's an 80% chance you will not, so what I need you to do right now is say goodbye to your husband." People think that's morbid, right? But I think if I would have gone on and I wouldn't have had that chance, how bad would it have been? So I looked at him and I thought of all the Lifetime movies that I had watched in my lifetime. Right? You know the ones where the spouse dies and then they're like, "Oh my gosh, I found my soulmate, but I don't know my spouse before would have been." So I said, "Honey, I love you, and I want you to move on with your life, and I want you to date and get married, and know that I'm supportive of that." When I had to rescind that offer 2 months later, it was uncomfortable. I mean, some were good cooks, and let's be honest. He got closer to me and he said, honey, if this is too much, you can let go. Those 3 girls from high school came right in front of me, and I thought, who are you to tell me what I can and can't do? Went into the operating room, and when I went in there, there were a bunch of doctors and nurses. Everybody had their waders on because it was a bloody surgery, and I would like to say for all of you that donate blood, thank you so much. If you haven't, please consider it. That's all I'm going to say. I had a couple of blood transfusions, but I saw some nurses, and they had igloo coolers. Now, yeah, I'm an organ donor, but I'm also on Dilaudid. I'm fabulous on Dilaudid. And I said, whoa, is it a BYOB? Yeah, party. And they were like, ooh, yeah. But they were there to get my organs. I came out of surgery, and I was laughing. All my girlfriends had shown up, and the ICU nurse said, ladies, this is not a sorority. And I said, you don't know me. They never had to tell me that I was paralyzed. People always say, how did it feel when they told you? They never had to tell me. You know, when you have to have nurses come and flip you from your left side to your back, you can't do it yourself. You know something's wrong. When you're drinking a lot of liquids and you don't have to tinkle. When the hot doctor comes in and, oh, nothing. You know you're paralyzed. I wasn't upset, I wasn't sad, because I'm here, and I'm here for a reason. And a lot of things changed that day, in my head, in my heart, and in my soul. I used to be very jaded. I remember this one time when I opened the door for a gentleman, and he didn't say thank you, didn't nod, and of course me, in true Amy fashion, said, there you go, Your Royal Highness, next time I'll roll out the red carpet for you. But I don't know what was going on in his head that he couldn't say thank you. And if Tom would have done that after the accident and someone would have mouthed off to him like that, I would have run over their toe. You don't know what's going on with people. And I used to be very jaded. And now I think the human race is an awesome thing. And you people in this room right now shows that. I never had to worry about insurance. I never had to worry about where I was going until this happened. And I'm lucky that I can get insurance and I can get help. And I think of the people that I was in the hospital with that couldn't. You only get one wheelchair every 5 years. There are a lot of children where they have to get wheelchairs too big or too small and it causes sores. But with Peak Vista being here, they're going to get the treatment that they need. It's going to be outstanding. And what I want them to do and what I want you guys to do, sometimes your day is so much, right? Calls, emails, text messages, you've got papers piling up, it's just overwhelming, and then you get home and your husband, your wife, your significant says, oh my gosh, you're home, you need to take out the trash, and you need to do this, and here's the kids, and oh my gosh, when will it stop? What I want you to do and what I want the patients to do is to close your eyes, and I want you to picture me right next to you, and I want you to look at everything that is driving you nuts and say, who are you to tell me what I can and can't do? And I want you guys to rock it out like you do. Thank you. Oh. Thank you. Thank you. Oh my gosh, thank you. Thank you. That was a long time. I know the pants up the butt again, but thank you. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much.
Amy, you are incredible. Thank you for sharing your story. That was awesome.
Thank you. If you don't mind, though, I'm going to stay here until they lower the stage because I felt like Justin Timberlake. So, like, if that's okay, I'm going to hang out. Is that cool?
All right, well, I just want to thank you all for attending the 13th Annual Breakfast of Champions to benefit Peak Vista Community Health. And on your way out, just a couple more things before we go. On your way out, make sure you get your reminder for the save the date. It's happening next year. The 14th Annual Breakfast of Champions is November 6th, so mark that on your calendars. And you can come up and take pictures with Amy until 9:45. She'll be up here at the front of the room here. And thank you all so much for coming today. And let's give another round of applause for Amy.